Hello boys and girls, and welcome to lesson 4 from page 129, the percent equation. We're going to learn how to find the percent of a number. Here we have to read this. You have used a percent proportion to find the missing part, P, percent N, or whole, W. You can also use a percent equation. The percent equation is part equals percent times a whole. What they mean by this, boys and girls, is this, the following. Let's pretend I have to find 75% of the number 20. So what I'll do is I will change. So as you can see here, we've done to tell us to take our part. Our part is 75%. That's the part that we want. Take the percent and switch it to a decimal. Now we can't multiply percents. Don't forget, you have to change it to a decimal and multiply by your whole. Let's say we're looking for 75% of 20. When you multiply 0.75, you're going to get what 75% of 20 is. When you multiply by 20, you will get 15. Okay? So you can say 75% is 15. That's all they're trying to show you here, the equation. You just turn the percent into a decimal and multiply it by your whole, and that'll give you your part. So then if we try to invert this equation we have right there, this equation, okay, we have to, let's say if we were to bring the whole over to this side, it does the opposite. Over here it's being multiplied, it needs to be divided here. That's what you have. You've brought it over. So all that's left on this side all by itself is percent. Next, we're being asked to multiply each side by the whole. So over here, we're going to input the whole so that we multiply it with this fraction. So we must do the same on this side. And then finally, divide out the common factors to obtain the percent equation. So this whole canceled out with this whole, right? They cross-reference because this one's above 1. So this whole canceled with this one out, and all you're left with part equals percent times whole, and that's your equation. Anyways, we will practice this a little bit later. Let's try the real world link. Okay, a survey found that 16%, so remember we can't multiply percent, that's going to turn into 0.16. Okay, that is our percent. A survey found that 16% of all 7th graders at Lincoln Middle School think that tarantulas are the scariest creatures. There are 150 7th graders at the school. How would you write a percent equation to find how many 7th graders said that tarantulas are the scariest creatures? So how do you find 16% of 150? Well, like we said, 150 is our whole. So we'll write 150 right there. And that's going to give us our part. Okay, that'll give us our part. When you multiply 0.16 times 150, you will get the part you're looking for, your percent. On page 130, we're given an example on how to use this. You can see here that this is 10% times 150 will be 15, right? You get, anytime you multiply a whole number by a fraction or a decimal, you will get the fraction of that number. Okay, you will get the fraction of your whole number. So you can go ahead and try it this way. Now the way I typically like to do it is an equivalent fraction style, and we'll try those with the equivalent fraction style. Before we do, we have to get familiar with the vocabulary. So let's look at the top of the page and let's explore this part right here. We have to get familiar when we make these equivalent fractions or when we use the equation to know where we're going to put the part, the decimal, and the whole. So let's see, or the percent, sorry. 3 is what percent of 6? So here when they're saying 3 is what percent of 6, they're saying 3 of 6 is what out of 100? What percent? Right? What porcien? What percent? Over here they're saying what number is 50% of 6? Of 6. So really what they're saying is 50% of 6 out of 6. Right? And then the other one, they're saying 3 is 50%. So they're telling you that 3 is 50 of what number? They're telling you that 3 is 50%. 50% of what number? Right? So those, make sure that you understand this language so that you know how to distribute your values. Let's try questions A, B, C, D right here. Okay, it's just as we were doing now. We're going to do what is 6% of 200? 6%, don't forget, of 200. What did you do to the bottom to make it 200? Do the same to the top. Well, clearly we doubled it, so it's going to be 12. Now, boys and girls, make note of this. This is not your answer. Your answer is simply this. So your answer should be 6% of 200 is 12. Okay? That's what your answer should be. It's the 12. Do not give me a fraction, please. Give me a whole number. Okay, B. 72% of 50. Well, 72%, meaning 72 out of 100 for 50. What did I do to the 100 to make it 50? I divided it by 2, right? Clearly I cut it in half. Cut this one in half, and you're going to get 36. So, you can write it as 72% of 50 is 36. For question C, we're being asked what is 14% of 150? 14% of 150, right? What did I do to the 100 to make it 150? Well, as you can see, I went up by half of 100. I went up by half of it, right? To make it 150. Half of it. So I technically went up by 50%, did I not? Right? So I must go by half of this number, up. Half of 14 is 7. So I need to go up to 21. Do you see that? I added 50% of this number. So I should add 50% of this number. And there you have it. 14% of 150 is 21. Question D. 50% of 70. Now, boys and girls, you don't have to do a lot of equation for this, but 50% of a number means half of the number. So what's half of 70? Many of you know that when you cut 70 in half, you get 35. And there's your answer. Okay, moving on to page 131. We have midway through the page, halfway down, we have these questions. What percent of 40 out of 40 is 9? So what they're saying is that we have 9 out of 40, and they want to know what is this percent, right? So what is 9 as a percent? Well, we can make it down here out of a percent of 100. Now, boys and girls, we can simplify this, or we can simply ask ourselves, what did I do to the 40 to make it 100? Okay, I should do the same to the 9. But really, we can't simplify this too much at all, really, because this is divisible by 3, but this is not, right? And this is divisible by 2, but this is not. So really, we just have to work with what we have. What do we do to 40 to make it 100? Well, it's really hard to say. I know that some of you are able to figure out that you doubled it and then you multiplied it by a half. So 40 times 2.5. But many of you can't figure that out right off the bat, and that's understandable. So what you can do is work backwards. Take 100 and divide it by 40. That'll tell you what you did to the 40 to make it 100. Understand? So take 100 divided by 40. When you do that in your calculators, or you just do it on paper, you're going to get 2.5, right? So that's what you did to the 40 to make it 100. You just work backwards and you figured it out. You have to do the same thing to the 9, okay? When you see this, boys and girls, and we're working on estimating, you know that this is about 1/4. 10 would be 1/4, right? 1/4, which is 25%. So this is just less than that. This is less than 25%. When you multiply 9 times 2.5, okay, you're going to get 22.5. And that's close to 25%, right? So you know it's correct. And that is your answer. So 9 is 22.5% of 40. Okay, so 27 is what percent of 150? So it looks like this, boys and girls. 27 over 150 is what percent? What out of 100? Again, you can see here, boys and girls, that we went down by 50%. We went down, really by this, we went down by 1/3 of it. didn't we? 1/3. We took away 1/3 and we went to 100. What I mean by 1/3 is that 150 is made up into 50, 50, and 50, right? If we get rid of one of them, 1/3, one out of the three, we're left with 100. And that's what we have there, right? So 27 is made out of 9, 9, and 9, is it not? If I get rid of one of them, I'm going to have 18. Will I not? And that's 18%, 18 out of 100. Don't forget. 27 is 18% of 150. We haven't done any key answers yet, so let's start. Here's your first one. Put a start right on both sides of this answer. Okay, and there we have it. For the bottom of page 131, we have 39 is 84% of what number? Right? 39 is 84%. And then we have 26% of what number is 45. So let's look at the wording. What are they trying to say? First, I'll draw this one out. Okay? 39 is 84%. 39 is 84%. So we're missing our whole. You see that? 39 is 84%. Over here we're being told 26%, 26%, right? Of what number is 45? Out of what number? So we're missing both our wholes on both sides. Now for this one, we have to figure out what we did to the 39 to make it 84. We multiplied it by a number, but we don't know what that number is. So let's take it, go backwards, so take 84 and divide it by 39, and that's going to give you the number that you multiplied it by. You get it? So 84 divided by 39 will give you, when you divide this right here, divide it, it'll give you 2.15. Okay, so if you did that to the 84 to make it 39, you must do that to the 100 divided by 2.15. When you divide it this way, it's going to give you 46.5. And that's your whole number. Same here, same for 26. What did you do to 26 to make it 45? That's not easy to know, so you can just take your 45 and divide it by 26 so that you get the number that you multiplied it by. So you take 45 divided by 26, and you get 1.73. To go this way, you have to divide by 1.173, or to go this way, you multiply it, okay, by 1.73, right? So the same thing here. I want to go from here to there. I have to multiply 100 by 1.73. Don't forget that when you do that, the decimal place will move over twice, 1, 2, because you're multiplying it by 100. So it goes 1, 2, and you simply get 173. Okay, and those are your answers. Okay, now we're on to the guided practice on page 132. Please leave this for class, boys and girls. I'd like to start this together as a warm-up so that we can reflect on this. I want you to do the independent practice on page 133. Go ahead and do that. Don't forget that you can always go back to the examples on your book to see how it's done if you're struggling to do it. But go ahead and give this a try, and we'll check it in class. All right, boys and girls, that's it for today.